service your existing car with us right now.
And it's worth £500 off your next car.
Yes, at Macklin Motors Toyota, we'll give you a £500 voucher off any of our brand new Toyotas when you book in for a service with our expert Toyota trained technicians.
We even have complimentary courtesy cars available, so book your service now and get £500 off any new Toyota.
Visit macklinmotors.co.uk or see us at Kennishead Road, Darnley.
Macklin Motors, the new name for Toyota sales and servicing in Glasgow.
Valid on services till 30th September. Excludes Motability and fleet customers. One £500 voucher per vehicle purchased by 31st December.
So in hour two, Barry Ferguson, Mark Guidi, Paul Cooney. Loads of your calls coming in as well about some of the controversy at the weekend, but really there was nothing too surprising, was there, Barry, really? On Sunday, the weekend finished with Celtic winning 2-0 against Aberdeen. Welsh and Jota. Motherwell getting a 1-goal win at St Mirren. The penalty from Van Veen. Lamy was red carded in 82 minutes. On Saturday, working back, Hibs winning 1-0 at St Johnstone. Murray Davidson was sent off. There probably should have been 2 yellows rather than 2 red cards there. Josh Campbell getting the goal right at the end, and that's always a really tough one for the losing manager. Kelly went a goal down to Dundee United. It was Dylan Levitt, good signing from Man United, had been on loan last season, and then Ashley Taylor right at the end, equalising for the newly promoted Kilmarnock. Ross County, they came back with their Jordan White goal with 11 minutes to go, but it was Alan Forrest, new signing from Livingston, and Barry Mackay getting the goals for Hearts. They were third, as we know, last season, and the weekend kicked off at 12 at Livingston. Barry, you were there in the sunshine. Livy surprising everyone in 4 minutes, Nubly getting that goal, but then Scott Arfield and James Tavernier 2-1 to Rangers. And Rangers in action tomorrow night against Union SG. We'll speak to the Rangers manager in a moment or two. Barry, Mark, at the weekend though, down south, it's wall to wall about England and the Lionesses winning the Euros 2-1 against Germany. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. I watched it last night. I enjoy the women's football. My youngest daughter plays, so yeah, really thrilled for them. And well deserved. And seeing their celebrations at the end, a lot of pressure on them as well, being the host nation. Won their semi-final convincingly against Sweden, taking it to extra time last night. 87,000. Paul, brilliant. You can understand why the fever really gripped everybody down south. Great for young girls, women, anybody want to get involved in sport. Brilliant. And I was really, really chuffed for them. Really, and I like the manager, Wiegman, as well. She's very humble. She knows her stuff. She only took over 10 months ago what she's managed to achieve. But I tell you, what a party they would have had in that hotel last night. It must have been brilliant.
Barry, we're just smiling because we're watching the celebrations there. Could you ever imagine Walter, how he would have reacted if the goalie had got up on top of the desk there dancing in front of the manager? But well done.
Yeah, I've watched quite a few of the games down south, and it was great to see the level of crowds that were in watching the women's football, because I've been hearing a lot of them talk about down there they don't get supported very well, and it's pretty similar up here, but I thought the support that the English team got was magnificent, and they were running out of gas. I thought they were going to struggle in extra time, if I'm being honest with you.
Both
the first
teams.
15 minutes, but then they get that second win in the second 15, and they got the goal. Look, they're role models now, and women's football's growing every single year, and one thing that stood out to me when I was watching them, they had a number 4, Ciara Walsh. I don't know if you've seen her a few times. She was a standout player for me. Brilliant wee technician in the middle of the pitch, just sat in front of the two centre half. She was the one when I watched England, it's normally the goal scorers get man of the match or whatever, but she was a standout. She plays at Man City. Listen, women's football's growing, and hopefully they'll get more back now. Certainly up here as well, because you see Rangers and Celtic. I think Hibs have went full-time, Hearts as well. There's quite a few full-time teams, so it's brilliant to see them eventually getting the credit they deserve.
Because that is the question for us, for Scotland, that we want to do better. I mean, I see the winning, the England girls are going to share, they're going to get 50 odd grand each, Mark, and I know hopefully we'll speak with Leanne Crichton later in the week in the programme, but there isn't the money in the game in Scotland. The standard, Barry, you were impressed by some of them. I mean, look at Spain, the way they played so well.
I don't know if you've watched the games. Number 4, Ciara Walsh, central midfielder, could handle the ball, takes the ball at even if there's somebody round about her, had an eye for a pass, played it simple, but also had that switchy play. So she was the one that stood out for me.
And Mark, for your daughter, for example, then what's her reaction to
No,
watching?
listen, she loved it, and I remember 2019 with Scotland in the World Cup. The buzz about there, the go away game at Hampden Park, maybe Jamaica, I think they played. We went along to it to cheer. Shelley Kerr and the players on before they left, and then 3-0 up against Argentina, and we blew it. We should have got through. You then look at somebody like Caroline Weir, who's playing for Real Madrid. You've got a Scottish player that's playing for Real Madrid after a great career down south with Liverpool and Man City. But we're kind of the same up here with our men's game as we are with the women's, Paul. Now you look at our men's game, it's good. Compare it to down south, it's night and day in terms of investment, the spend, etc, etc. The women's game the same. That said, I think we could and should be doing better. Our authorities, our investment, the media interest, all sorts of things. I think we can do better. And there was a chance to really kick on after 2019, and it's never happened. It's kind of going a wee bit stale, a wee bit flat. But that said, you look at where, if we're just talking about Scotland, not taking into account England winning the Euros yesterday, look at where our women's game was. I know, Paul, even just 5 or 6 years ago when my eldest daughter was playing, and now it's my it's night and day already. So I'm trying to be positive and think 5 years from now, if I wind forward to 2026, 27, hopefully we're going to be right up there. But we need to keep it going. We need to keep the interest in the public domain.
The only issue I've got when the national team plays, I don't really know when they're playing. I don't think there's enough
marketing.
Yeah, are put out in the media. Scotland are playing at Hampden, or Scotland are playing somewhere. I don't think you see enough of that. And listen, it's growing. And if I'm down the park, down the Palace grounds, normally it was all guys, young boys, playing. Now you're starting to see the girls all playing, and it's brilliant to see, because listen, we love our football. I'll watch any football.
Of course, yeah. And we've all got kids, and it's great to see them playing and getting the chance. So here on Go Radio, we will, we'll promote it, and we'll encourage people to get to the games, because you're right, they're not well enough publicised.
Yep.
And I know the English FA take a lot of credit for what they did down south. They really pushed this and helped it with the clubs as well.
They did, Paul. I think, off the top of my head, I think like Barclays recently got involved with England's women's football, and I think they're putting in about £2 million a year. We're getting much more than that for our men's game.
But we underperform.
We do. There's nothing wrong with that, and great on Barclays and women's football down the road for really putting pressure on people. No, you need to get involved. Let's get involved. Don't just do it as a box ticking exercise. Do it and get involved properly. Get into the heart of it, and that's what we need to do up here.
But we've got mediocrity at the top in a lot of Scottish football. We have. It's
we
not
have.
great.
No,
They're not bad
Paul.
people.
No.
It's not good enough.
Yeah, should be better.
But fair
It's
play
not.
to the teams that have went full time.
Yep.
That the clubs are actually backing the
That's
women's
right.
team and going full in a full time environment and trying to be as professional as possible. That's what you want to see. At least it started. I agree with Mark. 5 years ago wasn't good enough. It's getting better, but I still think there's a lot of improvement.
And well done, Glasgow City, over the years, who've flown the
I mean,
flag.
they're part-time.
I know, exactly.
part-time.
Yeah. And Rangers winning it just this last season, but that's the first time. They'd won 11, 12 in a row, and they carried it on their own.
But they've been great, Glasgow City.
Haven't they?
They are one of the
Champions
flag
League football as well.
Yeah.
They have been great for the women's game.
Okay, back to the European scene for Rangers in action tomorrow. So they trained today. Let's get the injury update ahead of training today from GVB.
We had training yesterday. Robbie trained with the team. Beatfun trained with the team. We have to train still another session in a couple of hours, but still have some players injured out. So we have to see who's fit. I think Robbie and Beatfun can travel with us this afternoon.
Let's hear his take then on Union SG, the Belgian side that none of us heard or knew that much about them until the draw.
I've seen Union also last year. As you said, fairy tale. I think amazing year, promoting from the first league into the main league, and then pushing for the title. It's amazing story, and I have a very lot of respect for the players, the coach. You can see a clear style of playing, and I know in Europe, the name Union will not sound really familiar for most people, but if you look the way they play, I think they deserve to be in Champions League contention to go into the group stage. So.
One of the headlines today was that one of their players, Christian Burgess, saying Rangers could rue the fact that they've lost Aribo and Bassi for Europe, who were such a big part of the run to Seville. Is that worrying you, Barry?
No, with the business that Gio's done straight after it. It would worry me if 3 weeks ago I'm thinking to myself, what's going on in there? There's no many signings. Then obviously Aribo and Bassi go. But one thing I've always said is Gio would have a plan that these players had a real good chance of going, and then he acted very, very quickly. Look, am I disappointed they've went? Yep, they were big players for Rangers, no doubt about it. But Rangers couldn't knock back the kind of offers. I mean, 10 million after Aribo plays a certain amount of games for Southampton, 23 million pound for Bassi, who cost 230 grand a couple of years ago. It's a brilliant piece of business. But also I like the business that Gio's done. And in terms of Union SG, you hear him there. He knows it's going to be a tough one. So Rangers really need to be on it and make sure they put a performance into at least come back and be in the tie.
Mark, it was some European journey for Rangers last season. What are your thoughts ahead of this one?
I'm without knowing overly much about Union SG, to be honest, Paul, and I think for a lot of clubs at this stage of the season, it's a wee bit of the unknown. But certainly what Rangers achieved over a number of years, but particularly in the final 6 months under Giovanni, it's got to give them confidence. They will have learned, or at least they should have learned, from last season. Because they lost, and to be honest, unfortunately, our clubs don't have a great track record in European qualifiers. We look at Celtic 2 out of 7. Look at Rangers no beating 10 men at Malmo last season. Okay, you want to bring Motherwell into the equation, losing to Sligo, so you can't take it for granted. And Giovanni will know the Belgian football because it's neighbours are Holland. He'll be well versed on them. But yeah, they're not a household name, Union SG, but that doesn't matter when you go out onto the pitch. Barry will know if Rangers are not on it, Paul, over 180 minutes, they will be punished. Likewise, if Union aren't on it, Rangers will punish them. So this isn't a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. I remember this time last year, a lot of Rangers fans coming on this show taking Malmo as a gimme. It wasn't. You've got to be right on it, and if they're not, they'll not get through.
Yep, they've watched plenty of games on them. And look, you just need to look at the Belgium League, who they finished above. Bruges, Anderlecht, teams like that, like well-known teams. So you're coming up against the unknown, but look, you're coming up against guys who are technically gifted, and it's going to be a tough one for Rangers. So I have no doubt. I know the way that Gio will prepare for the game. The guys will know every single bit about them, every single player in their team, and I expect Rangers to come back with at least something.
Ryan Kent hasn't travelled, Mark. That's the latest news. But they're saying that Ben Davies could make his debut, and so could Ridvan Yilmaz.
Yeah, I mean, so the good options. Matondo as well. Sounds like he's going to be available.
Rabbi,
what an asset he could be. Even for the last 20 minutes, if they need to bring him off the bench with his pace. So I think I'm not overly concerned with Ryan Kent not being available. It'd be better if he was available. But no, I'm not concerned about it. I think Rangers can still go and get a result. If you're needing to go and win the game, then yeah, Ryan Kent, have him there. But this is more about not losing the game tomorrow night, Paul, and I think that'll be more of the emphasis on defending properly, really being tight, being cohesive, plenty of communication, and then hitting the counter-attack if you need to.
Barry, I haven't asked you yet about one of those signings, Rabbi Matondo. What do you make of him?
I was impressed when he came on against West Ham. I mean, there was a lot made about his pace, and he certainly showed on that night that he had amazing pace, but also he had real good quality on the ball. And again, he's come through the system at Man City. He's went over to the Bundesliga, which is a tough league to Schalke. So, but the early signs are, look, I'm impressed. There's no doubt about it. Pace in the modern game, you need it. You know what I mean? At times it can be a brilliant outlet, and he's only young. He's still got he's one of the ones I think Gio's looking thought, right, I can develop him into be an even better player. So again, he's another one that might need a bit of patience, but over time, I like to look at him.
Mark, Antonio Cholak. So you mentioned Malmo, he was on loan and he did the damage against Rangers. Decent start on Saturday.
Yeah, as I said, Paul, that's just something about it. I like the look of him, and already I would, comfortably say at 1.8 million all day long. It looks like a really good piece of business. They had to get somebody in because they knew very early on that Morelos and Roof weren't going to be available. So he's given Rangers a good option right away. Very unfortunate not to get off the mark on Saturday and another day that goal was given, albeit so tight. It's hard to criticise officials when it's so tight. I mean, you're talking 2 inches, either way. So, but anyway, I can see him, with good service, getting a number of goals for Rangers this season.
That's the thing. I was just about to say it, and Mark's mentioned the word there, service. See, in the first half, he was getting a bit frustrated because Rangers were getting the areas, they were turning back, playing it back, and I could see him. Then he came alive because Rangers started pummeling Livy's box a few times, and that's what he is. He's similar to like kind of Giamakis. He likes that rough and tumble. He's wanting balls into the box where he can go and attack, and he showed that with his goal. But I think he's the type of player that needs delivery for the wide area.
The changes worked for the manager.
Changed a little bit, personnel in the second half with 3 players behind Antonio for getting more bodies in the box. And, I think the subs today, give the right energy at the right moments, which helped us in the second half in creating a lot of chances. Really happy with the win.
Just as you said in the goals,
I think we scored some great goals. So really happy with the goals from Taff, Scotty, who came on and scored vital equalizers. I mean, second half we didn't play well. We conceded the first goal very, very easy. But in the second half we saw the team I like to see and creating chances and dominating the game.
I tell you, the big 2 managers love to give us the names, don't they? Ange Postecoglou does that as well. So Tav and Scotty, what did you get all the time when you were playing? Apart from captain or whatever, skipper, what did the manager say?
Face, get.
And that was just the missus saying that. Mark, sorry.
I said, we money get for Hal.
Right. Any big surprise for you at the weekend in the Premiership?
No, to be fair, I thought Hearts would beat Ross County, albeit I thought it would have been tight. Kilmarnock and Dundee United, I would have probably said a draw. St Johnstone Hibs, I thought that would have been a draw.
A 0-0.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be disappointed losing a goal at the last couple of minutes.
But I know we touched on it a number of times last season, and I'll do it again. I don't want to do it in the first weekend of the season, but the standard of refereeing again. You analyse Ewan Anderson's performance, St Johnstone against Hibernian, absolutely nowhere near it. But I've just seen a guy lose his job on Friday night. There's livelihoods on the line, and it's not just about the tackle from Cabarra on McGowan. Rocky Bashira, forearm smash, the middle of the pitch. I
saw that in the
Standard of refereeing got to be so much better.
But the most contentious ones, so St Johnstone had Murray Davidson sent off. The Hibs, it should either have been 2 yellows or 2 reds.
Yeah, and I think that was Callum Davison's point. Just consistency. Now, Ewan Anderson has gone in the take of the 4th official for Murray Davison's red card, which is fine. I don't mind you looking for a bit of guidance if you think your 4th official's got a better view. Because you watch him, he's originally saying yellow, 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 then he produces the red on the guidance of the 4th official. But when you watch the tackle from Cabraha on Ryan McGowan, how you don't give a red card for that, and I know what you see players get sent off, Paul, but how you don't give a red card for that is absolutely beyond me. I mean, it really is. And then the forearm smash, there's 4 officials.
That's the thing
pitch
that'll get the managers. It's consistency. You want to see level of consistency, and you want to see the standard be a bit better. You've seen our old referee Bobby Madden going down getting a bit of pelters. I thought he was spot on.
Should Livy had a second goal? You were at the match.
I can see why. Do you know what? There's nothing much in it, but you see the Livy's players slightly, and obviously Connor Golson's move forward.
But that happens all the time, doesn't it? In the box.
But that's the way football's becoming. It's a contact sport at times, you know what I mean? It's one of the ones where it's a slight push, if I'm being honest with you, in the back. You've got to be stronger there.
More coming next.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland. Let's go!
Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors. Barry Ferguson back from a wee bit of sunshine there, Barry. You enjoy just a few days away.
Yeah, it's nice to get look, I'm making up. with the COVID situation. I think a lot of people they're taking the opportunity to get away and get a bit of sun on your back. But now I'm back, the season started, I'm ready to go. I'm buzzing. I'm looking forward to it because I enjoyed.
Not saying where you've been.
You can't help yourself.
No, I know. Can't say where you've been. Did you pop in and see nephew Lewis? Is it maybe too soon? Yeah.
No, it's too soon. But listen, fair play. I love seeing people. You don't really see a lot of young players for Scotland go abroad. The first one was obviously Hickey. He's went across to Bologna, and look what's happened to him. He's matured into a fine player. He's got his move down to Brentford for 17 million, and Doig and Lewis now away across. And look, I think for his development, I think it will be brilliant. It's a
You must be so
league.
proud of him, Barry, to see your nephew, see Derek's boy. You've watched him as a kid go up to go and
because
he's
had a few knocks.
Serie A, you know what I mean?
Mark,
I remember as a
few-
kid at Hamilton Accies. He's now going to play in the Serie A. It's brilliant.
Well, he's had a few knocks, like my son as well. But in terms of Lewis, we're talking about Lewis. Lewis got knocked back for Rangers. Obviously, get let go. Hamilton Accies took the opportunity. They developed him really well. He got his move to Aberdeen, and he's just grew. He's grown into an international player. But I do think this summer was the right time. I would have probably said last summer he should have went. Obviously, they couldn't sort the deal out with Watford. But is it not brilliant to see young players go into different leagues, and especially Serie A? Tough league, massive teams. They pride themselves on defending. They pride themselves on how fit they are. It's tactical as well. And I just think for Lewis as a footballer, I think he'll come back a much better player.
He'll be learning Italian, and you love the Italian food, Barry, don't you? Yeah.
Yep, can you not tell?
Fit as a fiddle. 08 17 700 footballs back. Mark, isn't it brilliant? We're back down to the real thing now, because although it's only August the 1st, you know, all this transfer speculation, the window's got 31 days to go, but it was time to get back into the leagues.
Yeah, it was really enjoying it, Paul. You know, good opening weekend. Not really any major surprises. A lot of managers lost his job. It was a breaking story here on Friday night. We've got Rangers into a 35 million quid Champions League qualifier tomorrow night. I've got Dundee United at home to AZ Alkmaar on Thursday night in the European competition. So there's a lot to like. You know, the next 5-6 weeks, we're into the middle of September before we have the first international break, and by that point we'll have a real shape of the league, Paul, because we have 8 games played, including Celtic Rangers at Parkhead on September the 3rd. So you'll see it with a bit of a shape to the bottom of the table in terms of who might be getting cut adrift and really going to be up against it. So we'll quickly be right into it. But I absolutely delighted it was back. I was really looking forward to the weekend, and then this weekend coming up as well, some really good fixtures.
That's right, Ross County against Celtic, Rangers at home to Kilmarnock. I'm also going to ask you who you think will come up from the Championship, or who's going to be the champions of the Championship. I'll ask you that during the programme. Barry, who do you think, we hate to say this one, but who do you think is going to go down at the end of this season?
I think it's going to be between 3.
The Saints?
Yep, St Mirren, Motherwell and St John's. I think Ross County will have enough. Livingston, you know what you're coming up against. I mean, I watched them in the flesh, and to be honest with you, I was impressed with Livingston. Yeah, I know they never had a lot of the ball or whatever, but I thought their shape was really solid and compact. And as we spoke about right at the start of the show, I've got a proper danger man up front. To keep him fit, he's going to cause defenders problems.
He looks
teams
like a
problems.
Yeah. And they're always a strong team, aren't they?
They are, and you consider as well they've lost Alan Forrest. You know, arguably they're the most creative talent in the team, and yet they still managed to make a go of it on Saturday. So yeah, I think Livy will be fine as well. But potentially, Paul, there's kind of 6 teams that you might be able to throw a blanket over. Even
but you've got Kilmarnock, you've got Dell there, the experience of Dell. I think in terms of Kilmarnock, they'll just want to consolidate this season. I don't think they'll be looking too far in front of them. Just make sure we stay in the league, and I think they will stay in the league, Kilmarnock, with the managers they've got in place and the experience that Dell's got in the game.
Big test for him on Saturday coming to Ibrox.
That's one that he relish. I mean, he came. There was a few jobs I think people expected Dell to get. He never got them. He took a chance to go down to the Championship. Fair play. At times, was it great to watch? It probably wasn't, but look, he done the job and got them promoted. into the back into the Premier League, where Kilmarnock should be. Let's be honest, Kilmarnock are they are a decent sized club. Kilmarnock, it's a place I always enjoy going down to play.
When it was a proper pitch, when it was the real thing.
It wasn't the plastic. It was always a tough place to
It's
go.
a great
But I just
stadium,
think
isn't it?
Yeah, it's a brilliant place to play.
Great atmosphere on
Right.
Saturday there as well against United and
a good crowd.
yeah,
So,
that's what, yeah, but
8,000.
crowd,
Yeah.
atmosphere. I mean, I think Derek will be fine. I think he's probably still looking to bring in one or two. Look at their squad. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
they're still a bit
wee
short.
bit short. I think he'll just be looking, Paul, to get the next 2 weekends at the road. Going to Ibrox and then Celtic coming to Rugby Park. Horrible back-to-back fixtures, so he'll just be looking to get them at the road. If he could nick a point out of 6, I'm sure he'd be delighted, all things considered, and then go on with the business of, cutting up against your St Mirren's, your Motherwells, your St Johnsons, and see what they can pick up from there.
I'm looking forward to this. Honestly, I'm excited about it. It's exciting to see if Rangers get in. Well, they need to get into the Champions League. Who are Celtic going to draw in the Champions League?
yeah.
Who are Rangers going to draw if they get in the Champions League? Who's going to finish in the bottom 6, the top 6? I think it's going to be so obviously nobody's going to get in front of Rangers or Celtic. I think Hearts for me are still the strongest third team. Then
looks like it,
I
doesn't
think
it?
it's a
Yeah.
fight for everybody else.
Yeah, it does seem to be, because last season, Celtic, then Rangers, just 4 points in it, then Hearts, and then it was the rest of the table. And as we saw with Motherwell, there wasn't much between any of them, was there? Ross County went on a good run, good, well done to them. Motherwell, what was that, 3 wins in 2022?
Something like that. You look at Ross County, horrendous start last season, and then they looked as if they were seriously going to get cut adrift. And then they managed to go on a good. I think Aberdeen will do really well this season, Paul.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine. I think they could be comfortably in fourth. I said on Friday night, the two for me, Barry, I'm just not quite sure. Hibs and Dundee United, that's the unknowns for me, how it's going to pan out for both clubs.
I just look at who Jack Ross has brought. I mean, Jack Ross for me is a good manager, no doubt. Should never have been let go by Hibs. I look at the boy Levitt. He's a player.
Yeah, so he was Man United, wasn't he?
Listen, what a grounding coming through at Man United. So important for him to get him back up. You've got Fletcher, the experience of Fletcher up there.
He played well at the weekend.
Yep, and I still think he's looking to bring in.
He's got Tony Watt there as well.
Tony Watt, yep. There's quite there's a lot of good players up there as well. It's interesting to see how Hibs are going to do under Lee Johnson.
Do you worry about them?
I watched him during the Premier Sports Cup. Falkirk, first half, Falkirk deserved to win. Hibs came out, made a few changes. He obviously wasn't happy. Made 3 changes at half time, I think, something like that. And they were a lot better in the second half. Then I watched them against Bonnyrigg. It's early doors still for Hibs. He has made a lot of changes, similar to what Jim's made, I think, 11. He's brought in 11 players. He's let a bit of experience go. I just think these managers need a bit of time, but you don't get time.
You don't get time. Yeah, although I think
It's
he
a
has
results
steadied the ship.
business.
You saw Hibs at the weekend. What did you think? And obviously, Aidan McGeady is out for 8 weeks, injured, and that's a loss.
I mean, first of all, for Hibs, you look at the positives. They get a clean sheet. David Marshall getting in there, clean sheet, first competitive game. Resilience and determination to keep going to stop each time, albeit they're a man up, man advantage to go and get the winner. It was a deflection, unfortunate for Cammy McPherson. So that's positives for Hibs. Going away from home, getting 3 points opening day, you can't ask for any more. Fortunate that they kept 11 men on the pitch. Could argue they should have been down to 9. But for Lee Johnson and his men, great Hibs support there on Saturday as well. They really got
always
behind.
travel
They
well,
really got
don't they?
behind their team, encouraged them and helped to drive them on. So, but no, still a lot of work to do for Hibs for sure.
Did you see much of the captain, the goalkeeper, David Marshall?
Yes, yeah,
A great signing.
Yeah, I saw David before it. Said hello. Known David since he was a kid.
Did he ask you for a few tips? Did he say, "There's Mark Guidi"?
He's been a top player for pushing 20 years now. And you think since he made his debut for Celtic against Barcelona at Parkhead, the captain of Hibs, great move by Lee Johnson to do that. And you look at, if you look at a club like Hibs, one thing, if any manager, whether it's Lee Johnson or anybody else coming out and say, do you know what, I've got a goalie. Priceless to have a goalie. Just there's a headache gone. That's not a headache. I've got a guy there for the next 3 or 4 years, no problem, as my as my first choice. So yeah, good piece of business. And I also think as well by St Johnstone getting Remy Matthews in, good piece of business too. He's a good goalkeeper.
Ex-Hamilton.
Yep. He was on loan there from Norwich.
We remember him. So we mentioned Kilmarnock, Dundee United. They come up against each other this weekend, Barry, and it's unusual so early. Hibs against Hearts. The two keepers as well are the captains. So Hearts will go in. It's at Easter Road, so Hibs will be delighted to get that win up in Perth. But are Hearts your third team this season again?
Yep, if you're asking me. Yep,
I
think Hearts, again, the job that Robbie's done there. No surprise that Hearts have tied him up in long-term deals, and they get good backing there as well. Robbie's a good manager. He knows the game. Made some astute signings this season. I still think I read an interview with him. He's still looking to add 2 or 3 players. So for me at this moment in time, Hearts third place.
See, the crowd at the weekend was 18,000 at Tynecastle. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Brilliant place to play football.
Lawrence Shanklin, he came close as well. Is he going to do well for them?
Yeah, well, listen, he had a tough time over in Belgium. The team he went to got relegated, but he scored a few goals. Look, he knows where the back of the net is, Lawrence Shanklin. That's one thing. And you look at the players that Hearts have got, they've got guys who can create chances. So he would be expecting to score a few goals at Hearts this season. I think it's another good bit of business. Liam Boyce, he's a player when he's on form.
That's right.
Northern Ireland International.
Yeah, he's a proper
double
player.
figures, no bother, won't he?
Barry Mackay, again, he's a match winner. They've got good workers in the middle of the park. And look, we all know how good the goalkeeper is.
For sure. It's going to be some battle this weekend so early.
It'll be a cracker, you know. I read Ron Gordon's comments a week or so ago. You know, having a sort of pop at the SPFL for it. You should be welcoming that. I don't know if it was a deflective tactic because of the administration error with the registration of the player, but nonetheless, you should be welcoming the Edinburgh Derby.
Ask your players. See, you ask good the Hibs players and the Hearts players.
Live on Sky. Bring it on.
They'll be absolutely. They'll be buzzing.
Well, they'll be nearly buzzing. It's Edinburgh. You know, buzzing's too.
Ron Gordon says, you go and ask the Hibs players or the Hearts players. They can't wait for this weekend.
It'll be a cracker.
The Cravat Festival, because of course we've got the Fringe will be on. What's the Edinburgh Fringe is going to be on as well, so at the same time. But the place will be buzzing.
Oh, it will be. Capacity crowd. You know, Hibs. Being at home, wanting to go off to a start. The rivalry through there. Paul, Hibs will be hurting about Hearts having such a good season. Hearts will be going there wanting to spoil the party. Robbie Nielsen, they look in a really good place. Hearts as a football club, there's stability there on and off the park is what Hibs are striving for to reach. And you look at Robbie getting that contract as Barry said with Lee McCulloch and Gordon Forrest, his backroom staff. Only 3 managers, Paul, in the 12 clubs, 2 years or more service. Callum Davison's the longest serving, just ahead of Robbie Nielsen and Davy Martindale. 9 other clubs. So I think we used to look down the road at maybe the English Championship, English League One, and we'd say you're lucky if you get 18 months. We used to say that's really unfair. But we're now the same. Paul, if you're not cracking it inside 18 months, you're out of job. First guy went before the ball was kicked in the league. So when Barry knows he's been at the sharp end for 5 or 6 years at a manager. There's no hiding place for him. It's a horrible business, and I have so much sympathy for the manager. It's so unfair on them.
Great point though, Barry. Is there a danger of a domino effect in the Premiership?
That's what you worry. They got off to a bad start, 2 or 3 defeats at the start of the season, and then they're out of job. I feel for them, and it's a lonely place at times for these managers. I know they've got their support in terms of their assistants, but I don't think they get enough support outside.
They don't. They absolutely don't.
Yep. I think there's something needs to be looked at that in terms of managers losing their jobs. Bear in mind, people need to remember they're only human.
Of course. And you give it's 24 hours a day, isn't it?
Don't tell me they don't go out and try their best and give it everything. They do.
When you came in here when you were running Kelty Hearts and then at Alloa, your phone was going all the time. You'd maybe have other managers.
Yeah, well, you imagine somebody in a full-time capacity. I was 24/7. I think it'll be 2 or 3 times worse than that for these Premier League managers and Championship managers. And look, it's a cutthroat business. I just, it's not a nice place to be at times, and I feel for the managers that they don't get enough time. What you want is a solid board who are going to back you and get behind you. Going on Callum Davison that we just mentioned, look at the season he had before last double winner. Struggled last year. I thought it was brilliant. St Johnstone kept with him, gave him the opportunity, and he'd done what he had to do, and that was keep them up. Then you look at what's happened at Hibs. Jack Ross, yep, I think they only won 4 points out of 27, but look what he'd done the previous 2 years to that.
10 days away for a cup final.
Yeah, 10 days away for a cup final. Give him the opportunity, because he deserved that opportunity. And it was ridiculous what happened to him. But now Hibs lost. I think it's Dundee United's gain.
Do you think social media plays a big part as well? I mean, look at Graham Alexander.
But Paul, they do, and what they do now, clubs, and I can cite plenty of examples the past couple of years, but clubs will possibly deliberately leak who they're thinking about making the manager to gauge the reaction in social media. And I know in our top flight, if they're unsure about a reaction, they'll leak it to gauge it. And I know guys who have missed out on jobs at our top flight clubs because of the reaction in social media to the possibility of an appointment.
But then that takes a strong owner or a strong board and saying, no, this is who we want, we're going with him.
Look at Ross County with Malky Mackay. They get stick, but Roy McGregor, no, that's the man I want. Don't care about the baggage. He's apologised. He's let him go on. And look what Malky managed to do.
I'm going to ask you more about that next.
Robbie, Robbie Nelson.
Yeah, of course. Well,
he won the championship. He was getting a bit of a tough time.
Brora Rangers.
Yep. And look what he done last year. And I thought Hearts were fantastic at times last year.
Who's going to be the top scorer this season as well? That's coming next.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland. Let's go!
Well, in the first hour we were telling you about Connor Goldson. He slammed the criticism of John Souttar at the weekend and said he is an unbelievable signing and a free signing for Rangers. Barry absolutely agrees. Ange Postecoglou's got people talking in the first hour, demanding a higher standard from his Celtic players.
You can be patient, but, if the chances are there, you take them as well, and then the game changes. So, and I thought they were good chances. And like I said, I thought we were a bit wasteful at times with our decision-making in front of goal. And, it's an area, obviously, we know we score goals. We've got goal scorers, right throughout the team. But I just felt today we just lacked a little bit of, decisiveness in front of the goal.
Barry, you like that straight talking from the manager?
Yeah, and listen, that just for me, you mentioned the word there, standards. He's not going to let standards drop. Look, it was a decent enough performance by Celtic, a 2-0 win at the start of the season, but he's not happy. He wants more, and it's the guys that you want to play under. That's him demanding and saying that he wants even better, and that's when football clubs have managers like that. That's clubs that tend to be successful. And I think Gio's a wee bit like that. If you listen to Gio, the two of them, if you listen to two of them interview, and I think they're very straight and honest, and I like that. And Gio was the same. The Livingston game, first half, wasn't happy. He's changed it. They were better in the second half, but he wants more.
Well, in the end, of course, really happy with the points. The start of the game wasn't good from our side. We didn't look sharp with the goal against us, so that took us out of the game. We didn't play our normal game the first half, especially when we had the ball, not taking the right position, not attacking the right zones in the right moments. And second half, we did much better and created a lot of chances to score. In the end, happy with the 2 goals we scored, because it means we have 3 vital points first game of the season.
And crucial to start for both of them, Mark. Business as usual.
You just want to win, Paul. You just in the opening day, just win, no picking up any injuries or anything like that. So you get your 3 points on the board, and you'll pick up momentum. Your play will get better. What it'll be for Ange Postecoglou will be. Yeah, it's good that they don't have the anxiety and the pressure of Champions League qualifiers. But what he'll also maybe be just kind of niggling them up, possibly a wee bit, is that they're only going week to week, one competitive game a week. Whereas Rangers, yes, there's a pressure of trying to deliver Champions League football, but they're getting on their toes. They're having to try and peak quicker in order to get what they desire. So they're going, Saturday, Tuesday, or whatever, Saturday, Wednesday. So there's got to be an advantage in that, I would imagine, Barry. And yes, you've got the pressure trying to get to the Champions League, but it's got to also be a benefit of trying to get up to speed as quickly as possible.
Look, it's great for Celtic getting straight in, but as a footballer, and I'm sure if you ask Postecoglou this, he would rather be playing Saturday, Tuesday, or Saturday, Wednesday right away. And I look, I agree with Mark 100%. It gets you up to speed quicker. Yep, Rangers are under a bit of pressure, but you've got to deal with that sort of pressure. You're at a big club, so that I think Gio will be more than happy with that. As I said, they've done all their pre-season, they've done all their fitness work. It's about getting match sharp, and Rangers need to get match sharp quicker.
Who do you think are going to be the top scorers this season? Last year was unusual, wasn't it? It was Kyogo was out in front, and then injury, and he ended up with 12 goals.
Charles Regan Cook at Ross County,
now gone, of course.
Came from the shadows. Well, I mean,
and Morelos, of course, was out then as well.
You've got Morelos, you've got Cholak, you've got Kyogo, you've got Giacomakis. You know, you could have Tom Lawrence, you could have Jota get into the mix. You've got Shankland at Hearts. You've got Stephen Fletcher at Dundee. You don't know. You know, there'll be a spread, but you know, I think probably what maybe with both teams, with Celtic and Rangers, as I can't see. I think maybe we spoke about it last week, because you don't have twin strikers. It's so much more difficult for a lone striker. The 30 goal a season, man, doesn't seem to be there anymore, because you're getting subbed as well to be rested. Look at Kyogo yesterday coming off to let Giacomakis go on. So therefore you're looking for a spread. So you're looking for a Tillman or a Matondo or a Kent to chip in with 10, 11, 12 goals, as well as Cholak and Morelos. You're looking for a Bada and a Riley and Jota to chip in with 10, 11, 12 goals to supplement Kyogo and Giacomakis. So it's almost like the most important guys are the backup ones, what like their numbers are going to be.
But the amount of possession and the amount of chances that both Rangers and Celtic create, you would fully expect a Rangers or Celtic player to be top of that charts. I'd be absolute shocked if it's not one of the main strikers.
Which Ross County, I mean, that surprised so many people. Charles
Charles Cook was very good last year. He's again, he's one of the ones where I didn't know too much about him, watched him quite a bit, and he could play through the middle, he could play in the wide areas, and he's one that, again, sometimes you're surprised that nobody takes a wee nip on, you know what I mean, because he knew where the back of the net it was. He had pace, he had decent ability as well. So when you see somebody like that leaving, you're a wee bit disappointed as well.
And look at season before, the numbers of James Tavernier, many of them from the spot, but not all of them. Look at the free kick the other day. Who's going to be the Celtic free kick, the penalty kick taker this season? Is it Juranovic?
I forgot Juranovic takes him. I don't know, because
for Rangers it's Tavernier, isn't it?
Yeah, Tavernier all day long. Although he did switch, didn't he? Who took over for a couple? I can't remember who it was, but I think Tavernier missed a couple and eventually somebody else took the ball. I don't know if it was Kent or Morelos or was it Arfield or was it Morelos? Good question, Paul. Is it Callum McGregor? Is it Kyogo? Is it Jota? You'd imagine any of them would be come to O'Reilly, going grabbing the ball and getting on with it. But Juranovic appears to be the man in possession.
Barry, for Celtic, who do you think it will be? Probably Juranovic. Strikes the ball so well.
He does, and again, he impressed yesterday. You can see why there's interest in him. He's a quality player, and I don't, correct me if I'm wrong here, was it £2 million?
Right,
just over. Yep.
That's a snip. I think he's a high quality fullback, Juranovic.
Is there a worry for Celtic fans seeing there that James Maddison, there's an offer of 50 million in from Newcastle?
I would be worried, because obviously Leicester are a team that's been linked with him, and I can see why they're linked with him, because he is a player. Again, he's one of these ones for the lower leagues of England you don't know much about. He comes up for MK Dons, but he's got everything in a locker. He's got brilliant technical ability. He's a good size as well for a midfielder. He can hold them. He's strong, and he's a left pegger. Mark,
that's from the Rangers legend. Celtic fans will be saying, "Come on, cut us some slack."
I would be astounded.
They couldn't
sell
Matt O'Reilly,
so no. And I don't. I mean, look, you know, at the end of the day, the ball's in Celtic's court because he's under contract, and we know players are very powerful now. I don't see Matt O'Reilly being the type of guy itching to get away. A year down the line, maybe it can make sense, you know, if it's, you know, whatever it is, if it's silly numbers. But right now, I think it sends out the wrong message, particularly when you've let Rogic go.
Yeah.
So you keep O'Reilly, you resist any kind of bid, if there is indeed going to be any kind of bid. But it certainly looks as though James Maddison's